Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick, here with you as always, and thanks for joining us for a extra special edition of Straight Talk Whiskey for episode number 112. So, today we've got what recently arrived from Ireland about a week, maybe a little bit more than a week ago, and I've sort of been itching to get the time to actually shoot this review and taste this whiskey for the first time. So it is a brand new, just release. A lot of people around the world haven't even gotten this yet, let alone in the US. So we've got the Red Spot Single Pot Still Irish Whiskey from Mitchell & Sons. So this Spot range has a history that stretches back into, early times in Dublin. When in around 1887, the Mitchells were what you call whiskey bonders, and so they would get whiskey from Jameson Distillery on Bow Street, and then they would age those in casks that they had imported of varying wines that used to be in them. And they sort of crafted the spot whiskeys that were highly sought after and were a lot of people's go-to Irish whiskey back in the day. So the paint dabs that you can see on there were to denote the age, and they've sort of become just an iconic, branding of the spot whiskey. It really just, you see that and it's like, there's quality there, sort of the history, the legacy that's behind it of the Mitchell family, which I think is now in like its 7th generation or something like that of Mitchells who are still with the spot whiskeys and still creating those. The Green Spot was one of the first ones that I ever had. Still has a little cap on these. And right from that moment when I tasted it, that was one of the first single pot still style Irish whiskeys that I ever have, and I was just completely blown away. It's so entirely different if you're an American whiskey or bourbon drinker or Canadian whiskey or something like that. It's a totally different feel, and even from like Scotch, especially like Islay whiskeys, you're getting something that's totally unique and that you probably haven't experienced before if you haven't had any other single pot still Irish whiskeys, because it's characteristics in and of its own otherworldly realm, and certainly with the mouthfeel, just the texture, you feel like you got something that's 100+ years old that you're drinking, and not in a bad way for taste, but it's just like something that you can sort of sense this historical significance and provenance, attached with it, which sort of goes along with the lore of the spot whiskey range. So anyway, the Green Spot was originally 10 years old. There was a Blue Spot that was traditionally 7 years of age, and the Yellow Spot was 12, the Red was 15. Now with the Yellow Spot, it does say 12 on it. The Green Spot doesn't say the age on it, because I think that it's a range, I want to say from either 8 to 10 or 7 to 10 years of maturation for that whiskey. So I think that's why it's not on the physical branding itself. But then the Red Spot Irish whiskey, obviously the 15-year-old, and that's just the minimum age of any whiskey that's in there. Now, it's been finished. Some of these are different, but they have 3 cask style maturations to it. So this has bourbon, sherry, and marsala wine casks. Now, these are not finishes. These are basically what you would consider sort of a vatted whiskey, in the sense that the single pot still Irish whiskey that has been aged in these 3 different types of casks are then married together, vatted together to create the final product. It's not like you have a single pot still whiskey that was aging in like American oak for 12 years and then gets 3 years finish in like Marsala cask or something like that. So it's not a finish, it's fully aged and all of that. So that's just a interesting little tidbit for you there. really be, I know I just got this, like literally just got this, but you know, with as well as the spot whiskeys have been doing, certainly with the two variations that are out there right now of green spot, which I haven't tried yet, but will be looking to soon. They're already in my cart on Mitchell and Sons website. So when I get the funds for those, I will be purchasing those to do a review because it's just so good quality wise. And I don't know, you could look back and see when I did the review on green spot and yellow spot, but it was a pretty substantial amount of time ago, and you can see that I really haven't taken too much of a hit on them, only because it's like when you drink it, you have to have that right occasion. You have to have either good friends or family to drink with, or you just want a nice, like, peaceful, calm night with no distractions or anything like that. I don't go to these types of whiskeys when I'm drinking, you know, just while watching a movie or TV or something like that, or one after dinner. It's not that type of whiskey for me. For me, this is more of a special occasion. It's when I really just want to enjoy sort of the quality and the characteristics of, you know, Ireland's traditional whiskey style. So there we go with that. But I will say that I think with as good as this is doing, that we will eventually see a blue spot. They've obviously already have the aged product out there. You know, if they're now putting out substantial quantities of 15-year-old whiskey, it means their stock, you know, is relatively good on that sense. What I don't know is recipe-wise, because, right, they have all of the archival records and everything like this for these whiskeys, and they're certainly not all the same. So is Blue Spot any different because it was younger? Is there maybe one or two types of casks that it's matured in, or maybe just one? I don't know what they traditionally did with the 7-year-old, but it would seem that price point wise, historically, there may have been some, you know, little give and take there other than just the age of it. So that would be interesting to see where that goes. And with any luck, I feel like in the next few years, we'll definitely be seeing a Blue Spot, I think so. I have no inside knowledge. It's just, I guess, you know, hopeful optimism that they will. So let's go into the whiskey itself, because that's probably why you clicked on this review. So you see I've got it in the Capita nosing glass tonight. I got to fancy things up a little bit from the traditional Glencairn that I would use for this. But just looking at the color, we've got a nice, really soft straw color in there. It's really nice. You can see sort of the age on the ends of the glass. If you just sort of roll that around, you see sort of like the legs that a lot of wine connoisseurs will notice dripping down the glass. Now, the first thing when I popped up the cork to this bottle and started just giving the cork a sniff in the whiskey inside, I got a lot of fruity notes, a lot of raspberry, blackberry, a little hint of apple, but just a really nice sweet fruit, bakery, you know, notes that were coming through, which was really nice. It's very soft on the nose. It's not pungent. It's very mellowed out. It's very, you know, well composed for its age. You get a little hint of those bakery notes, sort of the fresh baked bread, and a slight hint of like cracked pepper and things like that. But overly, it's the fruit that's predominant in this. Now, I should say, bottled at 46% ABV. I'm trying to see. One of the interesting things about this, just in terms of pure packaging and bottle standpoint, is that since I got this shipped directly from Ireland, it's got, as you're probably wondering the difference between these bottles if you're looking really carefully, or if you notice a lot of the details like I do. But this is a 700 milliliter bottle, whereas these two are 750 milliliter bottles because I bought them here. They were already imported, so and there's a little difference there. But the other difference that you'll notice, and I don't know if this is just because of it being the 15-year-old and that it's, you know, a little bit pricier, not by much actually, but these are just sort of like paper cardboard tins, whereas this has sort of a like metallic tinny note to it, which I've only really seen on some like really high end Compass box expressions. I don't know if I have any around here right now. I don't think so. But the other one was a Glenlivet Nadura, had the similar style to this. So again, a little bit pricier whiskey, so it may just go along with that. It may have nothing to do about being, shipped from Ireland as opposed from being bought here. So, because certainly the Glenlivet I bought here anyway. So, but some other differences that I don't know, because I didn't go too in depth into looking at this, but there is the note non-chill filtered, so that's always good. Don't know about caramel coloring, but I'm going to guess probably no. I don't think there'd probably be a need for this market to add any coloring in it, and certainly looking at the color of this, of something that's been, matured in a couple of various wine casks and American bourbon, that there's not going to be any caramel coloring in there. So let's go in for the taste. This is one that you can just sort of just let swish around in your mouth while you're tasting it, and just like pick up all these little, nuances in the whiskey. It's just so good. I mean, you'd think for reviewing you'd be a little bit more specific, but it's just so good. Such a great whiskey. The first things that are coming to the palate are those fruity notes that I got on the nose. So I'm getting a lot of like strawberry, raspberry, a lot of like fruits that you would bake into like a pie or a dessert or something like that. So like hints of blueberry. So a lot of sweet notes, this bakery, fresh baked bread. It's just beautiful. It's almost got like, if you've ever had Cadbury eggs, it's got sort of like that creamy note of like the cream on the inside, slight hit of honey and nutmeg. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And the thing about the mouthfeel, with this especially, but with all the other spot whiskeys, is that you get such a rich, deep, thick, oily texture in there that's sort of got like this vanilla coating on it, but is like this raw, earthy, nutty, peppery note on the inside that you can almost just sort of like chew at. It's got a slight hint of like maple syrup and just beautiful brown sugar conglomeration. If you've ever had monkey bread, I don't know if that's a term that everybody is familiar with, but it's sort of like, I know that my mother would make it and just sort of take like the big, the Pillsbury, like the crescent roll dough, and you sort of make little small like cubes out of them, and then you drizzle it with like some butter and cinnamon and bake it for however long, and you get sort of this like really sticky cinnamon sugary thing that you can just pull apart, and it's just like, that's what this is. I mean, in a glass, in addition to all like the fruity notes that are there as well, but it's just a really phenomenal bottle. It's just, I mean, it's not much else you can say about it other than if you have access to it, if you have the resources and the wherewithal to buy a bottle of this, definitely do. I don't know if right now they're still on pre-order. In a lot of places they were. I was lucky to get this relatively quickly, along with a couple other things that I'm super excited about. I won't give them up right now, but you'll see those in the upcoming weeks as we switch through different whiskeys. I'll probably go for a Scotch next week and American whiskey the next, and then come back to another Irish whiskey probably. So you'll probably see it closer to Christmas time. I'll have that for you. I'm almost excited. Maybe, yeah, I would say almost excited as I was for the spot whiskey, but fair enough. So with that, is there anything else? I think score wise, I mean, it's blown out of the park. There's nothing else that really comes close to this in my memory in terms of the category that it's in. So the only other thing that I would pair it with is like the Powers John's Lane edition. It just has like, it's almost like an emotional like impact that it has drinking it. And it's really the spot range of whiskeys, and if you're into history and that sort of thing, the romanticism of the spot range of whiskeys is just, it's there. It's palatable, it's there for the taking, and it's just really phenomenal. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. If this video, because let me tell you, the hardest thing is trying to fight sort of the regulations that are out there about subscribership, viewership, and that sort of thing. And so I'm really trying to, boost up the traffic, get some more people. I know there's whiskey lovers out there like you and I who love the stuff, love talking about the stuff. So, feel free to comment, feel free to share. I'm also on Facebook and in various groups. The Irish Whiskey Club I created and am an admin of. So please join there. Let me know that, I sent you on the video. Be sure to answer your favorite Irish whiskey on there too, and we'll get you added in. That group is growing, exponentially. But if this video can get 500 views or more, then at that point I'm going to do a flight of all the spot whiskeys that I have, and then that'll be a great way to do a little compare and contrast of all the spot whiskeys. I think it'll be a great video. I don't know if there's any other reviews on the red spot right now, so let's hope I'm the first, and let's hope that it can sort of drive that traffic. But I got into sort of making reviews about this because I was just so passionate about sharing the whiskey knowledge, the whiskey journey with other people, and hearing what their favorite things are and things they liked and didn't like, and notes that they picked up. And that's sort of where I was able to, put words to what I was tasting, and then being able to, branch out and explore other things, which is really great. And it's all phenomenal, and that's why I'm here personally. So anyway, that's it for episode number 112. I hope you join us next time. I'm sure we'll have something good for you. Until then, if you're going to drink, as always, enjoy and drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time.